The other reason I'm excited to see the Sixers game is because last time these two teams played, second game of the season, Ben Simmons had his way with one Rowan. I always get this. Is Rowan Barrett Jr. Not I always want to say Rowan James Barrett.
Isn't Rowan Alexander Barrett Jr.?
Rowan Alexander Barrett Jr.
And then the J is the Rowan Jr., I think?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, I think that's right. Rowan Alexander Barrett Jr. That makes sense. But I don't know why I always want to throw James in there. Anyway, Simmons kind of shut him down that game. He was, like, I think visibly frustrated by Simmons guarding him. And I want to see now them get a chance to play each other once again since, as we start off our progress report, RJ Barrett is playing definitively the best basketball of his career, to the point that the last week and a half now that we have these additional 2 games of evidence on top of the great finish to the first half of the season. It's kind of making me reevaluate him as a prospect, as a play. Everything's up in the air now, and it's so wonderful. So yeah, that's what I got.
Yeah, it's incredible. The ability, and this happened even last year too. It's harder to determine because of the sample sizes with COVID kicking in, but his difference between before the All-Star break and then after the All-Star break were night and day. And if we're seeing that, it's not even night and day to this degree because he was much better at the first half of this year than he was the first half of last year.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But the opportunity where, yes, of course, it's only through 2 games, but his ability to just impact the game in so many ways. And it seems like you're seeing some sort of leap of its own right now is fantastic. I mean, the thing that stood out to me the most for the Thunder game was he went 9 of 12 at the rim, which for RJ is really important because he was very below average. He's certainly better this year, but his ability to work lower and as he gets stronger, and especially as he builds his case of being a good shooter and good player all over or all around, he'll get those calls. And so the misses that we might see are then lessened because, oh, hey, he's getting to the line even more. I think he went, 5 of 7 from the free throw line?
Yeah, and he's, I'll pull up his free throw percentage in a second. I believe it's at 73% for the season. Right. Yeah, I'll get that right now.
And that's not great, but it's showing
72.1. Right. Yeah, I mean, look, he was at 60 in the low 60s last year. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. I'm just, I was, as you were talking, I'm pulling up. So for anybody who doesn't know, Cleaning the Glass, great website, has the ability for you to see a player's 10-game rolling average in like several different metrics. And if you look at RJ Barrett's effective field goal percentage from the start of the season until now, it's like, it's like not upward the whole time. There was a bit of a dip after, like right before that. The stretch of games that I want to say like ended with the Warriors game where he went. That was the game he went 1 for 8 or 1 for 9, right? So it was like the 5 or 6 or 7 games or so before that. It was a little bit of a dip, but for the most part, this has been on the way up the entire year. It's been really, really good. For anybody who doesn't know, by the way, RJ Barrett had a career high 32 points on Saturday. So I got a trivia question for you. You're not going to get this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. So I grouped since January 1st, all players in the NBA, the National Basketball Association, who had taken at least 100 3-point attempts. And I noticed that Mr. Barrett is tied exactly with one other player who has taken the exact same amount of attempts and has the exact same amount of makes.
Can I get a hint?
Comes from a good family.
Comes from a good family. Is it the way you say it? I'm almost tempted to say one of the Ball brothers.
It's your different wrong brothers.
So it is a set of brothers, but not the Ball brothers.
Not Balls.
Is it the Holiday brothers?
Wow, you're really no. It's not the Holiday brothers.
There are too many brothers. It's not the Lopez brothers.
No, it's not the Lopez brothers. This person, so both Barrett and this person have taken since January 1st 107 3-point attempts and made 44 for a percentage of 41.1.
It's not an Antetokounmpo.
I can't. You're gonna. I mean, I'll just tell you.
I'm just running through all the brothers that are in this league, and I can't.
The disrespect. Okay, comes from a really good family.
I'm trying to think of these brothers.
It's not just the brothers. Dad too. Oh wow, you're just gonna. I'm just making you look bad. We're gonna have to edit this out.
That's all right. No, we'll keep it in, because the people need to see that I don't know everything. They should have known that before, but now they can see it with their own eyes and hear it with their own ears.
Was anybody listening to this podcast saying Jeremy knows? I thought Jeremy knew everything. No, that would be Seth Curry.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah, a little bit.
And Seth Curry had COVID too, so the fact that he's able to perform, he was struggling initially. That also goes to show how hot he was. That before his COVID, he was just on fire. So
yeah.
That makes more sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're both in that range. And then just looking at like the other guys, so guys immediately ahead of Barrett in these rankings, Jokic, and then a Holiday, oddly enough, Justin Holiday, Anthony Simons, good player, Jeff Green, Steph Curry, Gordon Hayward, Chris Middleton. And then if you're just, if you want to have some fun with it, we could go through the other stats like free throws, assists, rebounds. And sure enough, you look at the well-rounded game that RJ is showing. And I think I did this like across the columns. I'm like, who has at least this many of all of these different things? And at some point, I think it was just him, Jokic, and Middleton in terms of just across the board production since January 1st, which is like, these are the conversations. Like, he's not there yet, but it feels like he's on the come up,
Yeah. I remember there was some stat. It was like a compilation of things that it had in Middleton, Jokic, and I think Vucevic were the other guy that was involved. And it had something to do with the 3-point percentage, the points, rebounds, I think the assists as well, the field goal percentage as well. So, I mean, all this for a 20-year-old, it is impressive. One of my favorite things is seeing all of these cherry-picked stats involving RJ that are positive, because to me, it just makes my heart grow, because I love seeing a player on my team being able to do that. So I like the parameters. I don't really care. If you make him look good, I'll take it. But just seeing all of that in the company that he's with, it's hard not to think, well, with his work ethic and the team that they've built around him. And I don't just mean on the court. I mean the development staff that they have. And hopefully, of course, on the team as a whole with the personnel, the ability to make him better a year after having the worst spacing, I think, objectively in the NBA. Mm-hmm. It's tremendous. Not having to think of him as how do we build around RJ, but instead of how do we build with RJ in that sense. And that to me
there's nothing wrong with that.
No,
building
of course
with
not.
RJ as opposed to around RJ. It's just like
the context being like, okay, well, clearly this dude has some flaws. So how are we going to get around them? With shooting being one of them. And now he's showing, well, he's at least showing signs of being an average shooter. And if you look at some of his percentages, there are signs of it being positive. Of course, he's not being efficient this year. He still has a way to go in terms of at the rim, but those are things that you can see improving over time. And we're seeing it in real time, especially with the 3-point percentage. He's finding open looks, but he's also finding the spots that he knows works for him. And he has a point forward in Randall who knows exactly where he'll be. That was another thing where before RJ got to 32, I think he was at 27 or 29, and RJ was standing in the corner. Randall was clearly looking at him, trying to get him the ball so he could get to 30.
Yeah.
And right as he's about to pass it, Randall's fouled right at the rim. So like having someone with that type of vision is crucial to his development, to the team's success, everything. So gotta love it with him.
We should say also, for as much as it felt last year like Randall was freezing, more Peyton than Randall for sure, but it also felt at times like Randall was freezing RJ out. 5 of Randall's 12 assists against the Thunder on Sunday went to RJ Barrett. You'll love to see it. Spoke after the game, which you alluded to, that he was trying to get RJ to 30. There is a kinship developing between those guys, and it's obvious. And then the one other thing I want to point out where RJ is concerned is he was asked on Friday by one of the beat guys about why he was taking less free throws this year. And his answer was that he's like, I'm not forcing it as much around the rim. I'm looking to do other stuff, which is like that's okay. That's an acceptable answer. I do still feel like that is the next step in his progression I want to have my cake and eat it too. Be selective, but also when you're down there, learn how to get calls more. But whatever, it's fine. He's a 20-year-old, which is why, for as much as like, yes, a lot of these cherry pick stats are there, but they're not like random, like, this player has played this many minutes and has like this, many like offensive rebounds at like this height or so, like nonsense. Like there's meaningful stuff. And then when you look at the age related stats, I would say, well, those don't mean as much, except for the fact that we are now seeing real progress from 19 to 20. So the fact that he is just 20 and we have just seen the progress means it is okay to project more progress at 21, 22, 20. It's all good. There's nothing bad.